I have some strengths, I have some weaknesses, and I'm particularly thankful for people in this church in my life that complement kind of my weaknesses. And then there were certain men that just absolutely put me to shame. Like just the Lord has just, I don't know how you do anything that you do. And one of those is Mr. Dan Heck. He is amazing. Janie, who's here on staff, she's our operations manager. Dan is her husband. A couple months ago, we were all kind of here. I think one of Dylan's first couple weeks here on staff, and Janie was here, and Dan was here, and it was a Wednesday night, and we were all kind of working on things for the facility. We were working on kind of weed abatement and mowing stuff, and there was some stuff that was broken, and then Janie called Dan, and Dan came, and he fixed all the stuff. And so I promise I'm going somewhere with this. So there was this old mower that he took out and was covered in leaves, and it was old, and it had just been sitting there for a really, really, really long time. And so he started working on it, and he explained, this has been sitting here for a long time, so it'll start, but it's going to take a while because it's just been dormant and inactive for so long. I see some of you guys, you're like, oh, I know where he's going with this. And then there was a leaf blower, and it was working, and then it stopped working. And the reason why it stopped working is that it had kind of gotten gunked up and jammed up because there was fuel in it that wasn't the right grade. It had been running, but on a low quality fuel source. So he says, so that's why it stopped. That was junk fuel. It needs something better than what you had in it. And then there was a third mower that had broken. I forget why. Dad knows. You already know. I don't. And he got it going. He got it. I'm like, sweet, thank you. And then he went, hold on. And even though it was already working, he opened this kind of side filter and kind of double checked. And he said, okay, and he put it back in. And he said, I just checked that. I just replaced that filter. I just wanted to make sure it was still good. So I can't do any of those things that Dan did for us that Wednesday night. But I was laughing with him yesterday. What I can do is turn it into a little sermon illustration for us. I think just like that old mower, there are areas of our lives that have been dormant, they have been inactive, they have been abandoned, they have been ignored, they have been repressed, suppressed, right? I just don't want to go there. And I want you to know that one, I think more than anything, that's the place that God would want to start. And I also want you to know it's going to take a lot of work. I think also there are areas in our life that it's kind of working, but it's like paper mache and twigs. We're like, it's good, just don't touch it, it's good. And you've been kind of, again, let's just get through this season. Let's just get through this day. Let's just get through this, decade? You've been living off poor fuel. And it might have, because sometimes because of pain and trauma and bad habits, we just get through things, at least with my walk with Chris and my wife. There's been seasons where we've had to look at each other and essentially say, I understand what led us here, but it's not sustainable. We got to live off something better. It got us here, and thank God we made it through, but it won't serve where I know God wants us to go. We need a better fuel source. And then also, like the filter, he went, I just want to make sure it's good. I would ask all of you, if you're like, I don't know, I think I'm doing okay. One, you're not, I promise you. There's areas where God's like, oh, you think you're good? And the little door opens in your heart and oh, that's right, this room, right? There might be areas you're like, hey, you know what? I think we're doing okay. But I'd ask you to prayerfully this week plan and seek the Lord to say, you know what? Can I get better? Can I just open this back up and spend time with you? I just want to make sure there's nothing in my heart, nothing in my life that I've said, hey, this is good, and we're keeping it from him. Again, whether it's been idle and dormant, whether it's been junk fuel, or it's no, we're good, but let's check and let's ask God what he might want from us. Does that make sense? Thank you, Dan. Good sermon.